Teachers of Reddit, what was the trashiest thing you've seen a parent do? Mom used to be a teacher and this happened to someone she worked with. Child was strangling another child, teacher wasn't strong enough to pull the child off of the other child, so ended up having to thump the child until he released, child ended up rather bruised. Parents of the child doing the strangling decided they wanted to try and sue the teacher for hitting their child. Result equals teacher who prevented their son from murdering someone suspended from work until the case gets rejected from court. And I bet the parents of the dead kid would have sued the teacher for letting the strangling happen. Teachers cannot win despite putting their heart and soul into helping people. Parents of the child who was saved from being strangled were very grateful. These parents would have been easily able to get this teacher fired by filing a complaint against her for negligence. Instead, they did their best to help her out when she was being investigated. Also work at a high school, our school student supplies cabinet is locked for similar reasons. It's not everything like OPs, just feminine products and a few spare backpacks, but if you leave it open it disappears pretty much instantly. It kinda sucks because I'm the front desk and any girls who need a tampon or a pad have to ask a dude for one, which is super embarrassing to some girls, so much so that sometimes I'll have a girl having her friend as me for one while they're right next to them. I make no big deal out of getting them one and try to show them that so that there's less hesitation should they need one in the future, but the first few times for some of the shyer girls is probably crazy awkward for them. You're a good person, but I can't stop laughing at the idea of a closet full of feline hygiene products. They don't forget their parents, they think of their kids as an extra resource for their lifestyle rather than a person that needs to be raised and nurtured. Makes me think of the mom from The Wire who spent all the money given to her son when her husband went to prison for the boss guy. Then when she ran out made him start selling drugs. Mother came to a school sports day swigging from a bottle of wine. We always felt desperately sorry for her daughter, because whenever she returned to school following a holiday at home, this was a boarding school, we had to wash all her clothes because they reeked of cigarettes, and this poor little girl was easily the most unhappy child I've ever seen. It was, and sadly she wasn't the only student I've ever been in charge of who was in that situation. At another school where I worked, a 16-year-old boy whose parents were going through a very acrimonious divorce actually told me that school felt more like home than home did. How sad is that? Wreck their car buying drugs on the way to pick their child up from preschool, and then try to get another parent to cover for them with their estranged husband. Hunting is fine. Eating rabbit is fine. Killing and eating a pet rabbit, especially a classroom pet rabbit? That's fucked up. Seriously, how the fuck do you explain to a classroom of children what happened, especially if the rumor mill starts? I would imagine the other kids probably gave that kid some issues. As adults we would know it wasn't the kid's fault, but kids on the other hand might not make that connection. My mom's a teacher and in order to talk to a parent about a child that was struggling due to the school environment, she arranged to meet at the parent's house. Keep in mind this was scheduled in advance with a set time. The dad answered the door 100% naked and tried to have the meeting with him naked on the front porch. My mom doesn't do anything outside the school anymore. Sounds like a really bad version of Malcolm in the Middle. Does your mom at least still do meetings with parents of struggling kids? Like, on the school campus? I don't blame her for not wanting to do home visits though. They're great, as long as the family is great. If the family isn't, call CPS. Call the police. When one or the other shows up, then you call mom to tell her what you found, and that you'd like her to come in for a chat. You'd be amazed at the number of CPS reports, both on that child and others, that have been almost entirely ignored. The most traction we ever got from that case was a caseworker going out to the house, reporting yep it's a filthy hole, and then mailing their findings in and closing the case. When we found the warts, the initial reporter we talked to said, she probably got them from mom when she was born NBD. We've been changing her diaper for a year and a half, and have never found outbreaks before now.